I recently got a request to review Super Metroid, and I'm not gonna do it. I won't do it. See, even though Metroid is my favorite Nintendo franchise, and even though Super Metroid has been critically acclaimed as the best Metroid game ever made, I don't like it.
What? Oh no!
Hold on, just hear me out. I'm not gonna review it because I couldn't tell you why I don't like it. I cannot sit here and come up with reasons as to why I don't like Super Metroid. I've played it before and I just don't like it. And I just don't know why. It's kind of weird too, and I know it is, because my favorite Metroid game is probably Metroid Fusion. And from a gameplay perspective, Fusion and Super Metroid are incredibly similar. So, it's kind of bizarre for me to enjoy Fusion but not like Super Metroid. I know. So, I feel like I'm coming from a biased perspective when it comes to Super Metroid. I didn't play it as a kid. There's no nostalgia factor for me, so maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. But I don't like Super Metroid, and I can't tell you why, which tells me that it isn't fair for me to review the game because I don't have legitimate reasons, or any reasons that I can think of, for not liking Super Metroid. It wouldn't be a very good review. It would be a complete waste of time. However, I do want to review a Metroid game. So, we're going to take this opportunity and I will review what is considered to be the worst game in the Metroid franchise. No, ones that we're actually willing to speak of anymore. That's better. Yes. Metroid 2, The Return of Samus for the Game Boy. This is the only Metroid game ever released for the original Game Boy. And a lot of people consider it the black sheep of the Metroid family, and I kind of see where that logic is coming from after playing it, but well, just hear me out. Let's go over the graphics first, just to get this out of the way. The game actually looks really good for a Game Boy. I was very impressed with the visuals here. For a monochrome screen, I think they actually did a really good job overall. The idea of the game is to run around and kill all the Metroids that have spawned on whatever planet you're on. I can't be bothered to remember what planet you're on. The Metroids are in different stages of evolution, which means the bosses will be switched up a bit. And I would say that would be a good thing, but the problem is you're going to be fighting the same recycled bosses over and over and over again, because there's only 4 main types of Metroid that you fight up until the end of the game. And all of them can be beaten with missiles, which is something bizarre. I would think that if these are evolved Metroids, that you would need to freeze them even more, like the original Metroids, but no, these ones you can just kill with missiles. I'm not sure how that works, but whatever. It makes the bosses a little bit easy, I would argue, and it just gets repetitive having to constantly run around and find the same bosses over and over and over again. Not to say the game isn't fun, it's still got that classic Metroid feel. The controls work great, it's fun killing stuff, and it's still ridiculously satisfying finding a new power-up in the game. Sound is an issue, though. The effects work fine, and the game sounds great when the music is playing, but sometimes the music will stop playing. Just stop. In some areas, there's no music at all. Now, when this first happened, I thought they were trying to set a tone to lead up to a more foreboding boss fight or something, and it does kind of do that when you just hear Samus' footsteps and her gun firing. You get that lonely exploration type of feel. The problem is, it never leads up to anything in the game. Nothing epic ever happens after the music goes away. It just goes away in some areas. You could argue that this does, again, sets a more lonely tone, but when it happens randomly in some areas, and in other areas there is music, it doesn't really do that anymore. It loses its effect, because you know it's not leading up to anything. You don't get nervous, because there's nothing there, because you know that the developers just decided to put music in some areas, and no music in others. Personally, I consider this a negative. I just don't understand why they couldn't have put more music in the game and put it in those areas. You might say Game Boy limitations. I call bullshit because Pokemon had music in basically every single area of the entire game. So why couldn't Metroid do that? Another thing that could be argued that they did because of Game Boy limitations is something that's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't consider it a problem for me, but classic Metroid fans probably are. See, whenever you get to a certain area, it's impossible to progress out of the area until you've killed all the Metroids there. Because this acid water or lava, I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be, this game is in black and white, or green and black, whatever, is in your way, and you can't progress through it. You have got to go back and kill all the Metroids before you can progress. Classic Metroid fans will probably be put off by this because this means it's impossible to explore overall. You can't go throughout the entire maze, and you're kind of stuck, and it makes the game a bit more linear. However, this kind of feature does appeal to me in a lot of ways, because if there's anything I hate about the original Metroid specifically, it's that I fucking always get lost in that damn game all the time. It's basically impossible for that to happen in this game. If you do get lost, you'll be able to find yourself pretty quickly, because again, the game's just more linear. Again, I know you're saying Game Boy limitations, but I don't know, I find that hard to believe. Again, I keep thinking back to Pokemon with all the different towns and the different Pokemon to find in the different areas. I mean, it's not all loaded at once. You can separate, through teleport doors or whatever. I don't think that's a factor here. I think it's actually a willful design choice. I couldn't say either or. I'm not the developer. But again, this isn't a problem for me. I actually kind of like that I can't get lost as easily. If there's anything that gets me to stop playing a game faster, it's me getting lost. Because if I get lost, I get bored. And if I get bored, I shut the damn game off. That doesn't happen in this game, at least not often. So I guess it's a matter of personal opinion whether or not this is going to be a problem for you. I just don't like the repetitive bosses. I mentioned them before already, but that's really the game's main problem. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, all through the entire game until the very end of it. That can get a little frustrating. It's still fun finding stuff, it's still fun exploring, but I would have liked a better variety in terms of the boss fights. Still, I don't think this is a bad game. It's a lot of fun to play, and the game works great. When the music's playing, it sounds good, and it looks really good for a Game Boy game. So, I would say this is a game that any Metroid fan should at least try. It's gonna seem a little bit weird. There are things about it that separate it from the other Metroid games. But, I mean, we've had things that betray the series a lot more. We don't talk about them. And, hey, it's a classic Metroid game on a handheld. What more could you possibly ask for? Well, probably a lot. But still, it's fun to play, and it's a Metroid game. So, if you ever get the chance to play it, give it a try. You might not be disappointed. This is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.